hypothetically, how are you thinking around your essays?
For the leadership essay, what Chevening really wants to know is, okay, Chevening is about raising leaders, and what they want to know is, how have you been able to prove yourself to be a leader in your journey over the years? How are you currently being a leader? Then for networking, they want to know how you are able to leverage on the relationship you build with people to get to achieve your goals. For career essay, that's to let them have an idea of what you plan to do, what you intend doing when you get back from your study in the UK. Then the last essay, sorry.
Networking.
I already mentioned networking.
Studying in the UK.
Yeah, studying in the UK, they want to know about your 3 university choices and the courses you've applied to, and also why you've applied to those courses.
Or interested in, or maybe like the president of a huge organization. What exactly are they looking for in the leadership?
Well, personally, I wasn't the head of any company when I applied for Chevening. Basically, what they want to know is how you're able to, no matter how little, how you're able to lead people, how you're able to effect changes. One thing that was common in all of my essays was I used the STAR approach in all of the essays. STAR approach, that's situation, task, action, and the result. So using the STAR approach would help you to arrange your essays in order and help you to actually keep the goal in mind instead of being scattered. Yeah, so that's why it's advised to always use the STAR approach when writing your leadership, when writing all of your essays.
Did you do a STAR approach for a single leadership experience, or multiple experiences? Then you did STAR approach for each of them?
Okay, I would use an example of my leadership essay. So for the STAR approach, I mentioned 3 different instances where I proved myself to be a leader. So for the STAR approach, it's not like you use it for the entire essay. When you're mentioning, for instance, example 1, you use the STAR approach to explain it. Example 2, you use the STAR approach. So that's how it is. Personally, for my leadership essay, let me use the STAR approach for how I wrote my leadership essay. In the situation, I talked about my service here in Taraba State. So the situation I had then was, I was supposed to teach students in the northern part of Nigeria. They didn't understand English language. So the situation was teaching English language to a group of students who did not understand English language. So now that's the situation. Now the task, that's T. The task that I had now was how to teach these students in a way they are going to understand. So now, action. In order to achieve that task, what I did was I organized a literary and debating society to teach them how to communicate. So that was the action I took. That was one of the actions I took. Then the result, that's the R under the STAR approach. The result was at the end of the literary and debating society, after taking them through how to debate, how to communicate, a great percentage of my students actually improved learning-wise, and their spoken English improved also. So with that one example, I've been able to take them through the situation, the task, the action, and the result of everything that I did.
Okay, that's very interesting. So I'm curious, how did you transition from that example to the second example you gave in your essay?
Okay, transitioning from one example, first off, when you're using different examples, one thing you should notice, don't jump from one example to the other without completing the first example. So it's like, okay, one paragraph, I explained one point, then the second paragraph, I explained another point. So I dedicated one paragraph, I dedicated each paragraph to a particular point. I didn't mix 2 points up in a paragraph.
So if you're applying for something like creative arts,
okay,
must your example be something around creative art, something that must portrays the skills that you have that are related on creative art, or just any random leadership experience is going to suffice?
I applied for creative writing. So what I did was I made sure the examples I gave in all of my essays, in the leadership essay, teaching English and literary studies is in the field of creative arts. It's not like I didn't have other examples, but I needed to find something related to the space I'm into. So what I did was I picked up examples from different areas and looked for the ones that were closely related to the course I was applying for, so as to be able to prove myself in that particular field.
When you were doing your NYC,
okay,
you did some teachings. When you just have an idea of what you wrote?
Yeah, okay, for my networking essay, for instance, I made mention of winning Omvida in 2017. After being shortlisted for OMVID, I was able to take a course in script writing from the Pan Atlantic University. So I made use of that because it's closely related to the course I'm applying for, which is creative writing. Okay.
What other example?
Okay, another example I used for my leadership essay was in 2000 and I can't really remember when, but I made use of an example where I was shortlisted for a boot camp where we had to figure out the issues facing a particular community in Ikorodu, Ijede local government. So my responsibility on that particular project was to collate documentary results as a scriptwriter. So I made use of that as an example that while at the boot camp, I was able to use my skills as a scriptwriter to collate the documentary results. And at the end of the day, when we were done doing that, we were able to create a documentary that we presented to some funding organizations to generate funding for that particular local government area. But I made mention of the fact that I was there as a scriptwriter and documentary director, which is in line with the creative space I'm applying to.
Interesting. So at each of those stories, you were mentioning your role.
Yes.
What you did exactly, and what the results were.
Yes, I mentioned my role. Even in cases where I had to work with a group of people, I was very specific as to what my responsibility was in that particular group. So I mentioned my role. I mentioned what my role was able to help the group achieve in that space.
How were you thinking around it in your head?
Okay, before I started writing my essays, one thing I did was for each of the essays, I had a pen and a notepad. In fact, I got higher education for this particular purpose. So for my leadership essay, I wrote out every single area I've proven myself to be a leader. I listed everything before writing the essay at all. So I did the same thing for networking, I did the same thing for studying in the UK, I did the same thing for career. So after listing everything, I had to collate everything, and then I had to place them in order of priority, this would stand a better chance against this one. So after doing that, then I was able to read some examples of essays online. So I already saw what people had written in the past. So I was able to use that as a guide to write my own essay. Yeah.
I was curious, where did you find them, and who were the people that
Well, basically, I read from the Chevening's website. Their leadership essays, examples, networking, all the essays. I read everything on Chevening website. Then I saw a couple of others on some other website, but majorly on Chevening's website.
Oh, interesting. So I want us to backtrack a little bit. So when you were putting these three stories together, what kind of introduction did you make before you dive into your first example?
For my leadership essay, first of all, I introduced who a leader is. I talked about who a leader is, and then I talked about how over the years I've proven myself to be a leader in different occasions, rather. And then after making that little introduction, I was able to go into the essay proper and start stating the examples of how I showed my leadership skills.
Interesting. So how did you conclude the essay?
For my leadership essay, I concluded with, not word for word though, I summarized it that, okay, I'm aware Chevening is looking for leaders, and over the years, gathering all of these experiences, putting all of my past experiences together, and the platform Chevening is going to give to me, meeting other leaders, I would be able to do even more with the opportunity I'll be given. That's not exactly what I wrote, but I think, yeah, just a summary. That's basically it.
Or how they can better think about stuff to put out there, or how they can even check for grammars,
okay,
and all those other correctness you need to ensure when you're writing an essay.
I would say first off, that's why you need to start applying early enough, because okay, I didn't study creative writing in school, but I'm good when it comes to writing. But even when it comes to scholarships, being a good writer at times, I've seen people that are great writers not getting the scholarship. So first things first, start writing your essays as early as possible. And after writing them, get people you trust, whose judgment you trust, to help you proofread, to help you ensure that, okay, you have everything in place. Then edit your essay, read it over and over and over again. There are different editing softwares proofreading softwares online you can use to edit your essays. There's Grammarly. I made use of Grammarly, so you can use that to check for grammatical errors in your essays. Grammarly has both the paid and the free. I use the free. With the free, you can still do quite a lot. I use the free plan.
This was how I started my introduction.
Okay.
So these are the examples I gave. This was how I included it, so that to come out concrete.
Okay. For my leadership essay, I started with an introduction, a brief introduction, and then in my second paragraph, I started talking about instances where I displayed my leadership skills. I gave one example in the first paragraph, I gave another example in the second paragraph. I made use of 2 examples, so by the time I got to my last paragraph, I just brought everything I'd written from start to that particular point and summarized it and made mention of the fact that, okay, putting all of this together, I'm actually convinced that with these experiences I've gathered over the years, I'm very, very suitable for the Chevening Scholarship, and then getting to meet people would also help my leadership skills and help me achieve my future career plans too.